Hi, everybody. Thanks very much for joining us this afternoon. This is the webinar on the Professional Masters of Education programme. My name is Sinead Liston and I work in the Education and Health Sciences Faculty Office. I'm joined today by the Course Director of the PME, Dr. Diarmaid Lane, as well as discipline leads Karen O'Connell for Science and Jean Downey for Music. My thanks to you all for your attendance. This is just a note that the webinar is being recorded. Microphones and cameras of the attendees are disabled, but if you have any questions, please put them in the chat box and Diarmaid, Karen and Jean will look at those. But for now, I'm just going to pass over to Diarmaid. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much, Sinead, and welcome everybody. So my name is Diarmaid Lane. I'm the Programme Director for the PME and joined by my colleagues, Jean from Music and Karen from PME Science. So I have a presentation. I'll present it, and again, as Sinead kindly said, we're more than happy to answer any questions afterwards. So I'll just share my screen here and get that up. So hopefully you can see my slideshow here now.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay, great. Thank you, Sinead. And okay. Okay, so the PME-HUL, we have 7 different pathways in our PME. So we have business, languages, mathematics, music, physical education, technological education, and science. In order to come on to the PME, you have to have the required level 8 credits in the subject areas you wish to teach. So that's very important. So we get a lot of questions from people who have not got a level 8 background in physical education, for example, and they have a sporting background and play sport at a competitive level. They often wonder, does that mean they can teach physical education? And unfortunately, it doesn't. So that's the first major point in this here, that you have to have a level 8 degree in the area that you want to teach. Our PME is designed in such a way that you can come onto the program and you can take business with physical education as an example if your level 8 qualification straddles the 2 areas. So for example, if somebody was music, the odds are that they more than likely won't have a level 8 that combined music with physical education, but it's not beyond the realms of possibility. So we have 7 different pathways, and there can be you can straddle between the 2 different you can straddle between pathways if you have the level 8 credits. So the next thing is our PME-HUL is a 2-year full-time program. It's Monday to Friday, 9 to 6, and we stress that from the off. It is 4 semesters in total. So we have the autumn and spring semester in year 1 and the autumn and spring semester in year 2. That does mean that you have the bones of 4 months off for the summer between year 1 and year 2. And a lot of people find that is a really great benefit because they can work full time during those months. Semester 1 and 4 are full time on campus, Monday to Friday, with face-to-face teaching. Semester 2 and 3 are a mix of online classes at the start of the semester. Then you have school placement, typically a block of 10 weeks in each semester. And then there are some online classes at the end of the semester as well, with some online classes during school placement actually as well. But you don't need to be in UL at all or in the Limerick area in semester 2 and semester 3. So that's really important there. The annual fees are for 25-26 are €5,600 per year for an EU citizen and 10,100 a year for a non-EU citizen. Our application system is open. We are closing our system on the 28th of March, but please note the physical education is already closed. So if you do apply for a place on the physical education pathway, you would be put automatically on a reserved list for that. In terms of the entry requirements, from a UL perspective, we require all students to have a minimum 2-2 level 8 degree in their cognate discipline. That's the first hurdle for people. The next hurdle for people is that you also need to show that you have satisfied the teaching council requirements for your chosen subject areas. And these requirements are documented in the Teaching Council subject declaration forms, which I'll come to shortly. So if I just go through the bullet points on this screen here, you have to have a level 8 honours degree at a minimum 2-2 level. You have to have the required number of credits in your relevant subject areas as part of your degree. It is also important that in your degree that you have studied your subject area in year 3 or year 4 of your degree, so that you've studied it at a high level. You also need to make sure that your level 8 degree covers the mandatory topics or subject areas set out by the Teaching Council. Also, when you're applying for the program, you have to show that you've fully completed the subject declaration forms, and there's a mechanism for you to upload those subject declaration forms in the application. The last thing that I want to add is that we interview all of our applicants for the PME. This is a two-way benefit, I suppose, for yourselves. We have it's informal. We have a discussion with you just to see that you've fully thought through that you want to be a teacher and that you're prepared for the 2-year commitment. And from our own point of view, then as well, it also gives us an insight into your motivations. And so we make a decision based on that as well, your performance in the interview, basically. But often having that chat with us in an interview helps applicants make up their minds as well, whether or not they're ready to make this step onto the program. It is so while we do evaluate your subject declaration forms that you submit, at the end of the day, we're evaluating what you have declared to us in your subject declaration forms. But at the end of the day, your registration with the Teaching Council is really completely between you and the Teaching Council. It depends on your level of detail and accuracy in terms of completing the subject declaration forms and your honest declaration of what you have done. So just the other thing as well is that the candidates for the languages pathway on the PME will be interviewed in that language as well. So part of the interview will be in the target language that you will be hoping to teach in secondary schools. In terms of the subject declaration forms, yes, these are available on the Teaching Council website. This presentation will be made available afterwards. It's really important that you engage with the course director or the discipline lead if you have any questions. And again, I can't stress enough that it's up to you to declare accurately your level 8 credits. I do have a few tips for you in terms of the subject declaration forms. So I suppose one of the really important things is get your hands on the module descriptors from your level 8 program. Keep these for your future reference. So for example, if you're a UL student, you can go into the book of modules. If you just Google search book of modules UL, you can look up any module in UL and it will give you a descriptor of that module with the module outline and the rationale, the syllabus and the learning outcomes for that module. So no matter what institution you've attended, it's really important that you get that descriptor for each module on your program and you hold on to it. You save it your computer or you keep a printed version of it, because that is the only way that you will be able to decide what credits go into what section of the subject declaration form. So I suppose my big tip here is don't base your declaration of credits on a title of a module. It's very important that you go into the module, you see what the learning outcomes in the syllabus were, and then you make that declaration afterwards. Ensure that you understand each of the essential areas of your subject declaration form. So when you open page 2 of your subject declaration form for the Teaching Council, there will be specific areas that you have to look into to see have you alignment in your level 8 degree. And the only way you can really establish what those essential areas are is if you look at the senior cycle curriculum for that area. So for example, if I can just show you here, hopefully you're still seeing my screen here now. I'm now inside in curriculum online. And if I go into curriculum online here, I can go into the senior cycle leaving certificate established. So let me see here, the senior cycle established. I go into senior cycle subjects. And for example, if I'm interested in designing communication graphics, I'll go down here into the syllabus, into designing communication graphics. And inside here, it details all of the different areas, and you'll see that there's overlap with the subject declaration form. So for example, in the subject declaration form, there's a particular area called applied graphics. I can go into the senior cycle subject and the syllabus for that subject, click on applied graphics, and this will tell me everything I need to know about applied graphics. So if I'm making a decision and I'm trying to determine how many credits do I have in applied graphics, this here will tell you all of the information you need to know about what applied graphics is, and then you compare that to the module outlines in your subject declaration form. So you really would have to go into this level of detail. Perhaps later, Jean and Karen might be able to vouch for the music and the science disciplines in that regard. So I'll just go back into my presentation again. Sorry, no. So the next thing is, yeah, so you will have to make a determination on the amount of credits. A big thing as well is that you can split credits. So for example, if you have a 6 credit module in physics, you could potentially split that 6 credit module in physics across different areas of the physics subject declaration form. So you could go 2, 2, and 2, or you could go 2 and 4. So depending. So, but the most important thing is that you don't exceed the total credits for that module within your subject declaration form. The other thing, if you're looking at the technology subjects, we have a lot of overlaps between our technology subjects. So, for example, we study design in design and communication graphics, but we also study design in technology or engineering or construction studies. So I could assign 6 credits theoretically in design and communication graphics. And for the same module, I could assign the same 6 credits in construction studies, for example, or engineering and technology if it was appropriate. So that's important there. Each subject declaration form is treated independently. And I suppose we just can't overemphasize the importance that that you have to be able to stand over your subject, your declarations that you make. In terms of the structure of the program, so you will study, it'll be 120 credits in total, 60 credits in year 1, 60 credits in year 2. School placement is allocated 42 credits out of 120. Your study of what we call foundation modules or education studies and professional studies is 54 credits, and your subject pedagogy is assigned 24 credits. A lot of people think coming onto the PME that they're going to be in science labs for the entire PME, or for most of the PME, or they're going to be in music tutorials or music labs. But you have that already covered in your level 8 degree, all of that discipline and content knowledge development. So that's why that's why there's only 24 credits out of 120 assigned to the teaching methodologies for your subject area. The rest is very general in relation to, well, school placement is very specific, but then the general 54 credits is in relation to things like curriculum development, psychology of learning, special education needs, etc. So there's lots of general study in the education area as part of the PME. This is the course structure. So you can see that semester 1, the colored highlighted modules are pedagogy modules. So pedagogy does span semester 1, 2, and 4. School placement is in semester 2 and 3. And there's a teacher as researcher module here in semester 3 and semester 4 as well. Anything that's not highlighted is what we would call a foundation module. It's general, so you would be mixed up with all of the PME students in those modules. In terms of school placement, we often get a lot of questions around school placement. So it's 10 weeks approximately. It might be maybe 9 weeks in semester 1, but it's allocated 10 weeks. 10 weeks in semester for your placement 1. So that's in semester 2 of year 1, and then 10 weeks in year two, semester one, which is semester three of the program. The big thing with UL and the big advantage of UL is that we organize the school placement for you. You will be given the opportunity to submit a list of preference schools um, before you register, I believe, on the program. And UL does its very best. So we contact every school. We start with your number one preference. We start with that and we work all the way down and we contact those schools individually to ask them if they have availability and if they would be willing to take on a school placement student. Um, and look, by the majority of the time, this always works out, and students do get assigned a school from within their preference list. And it's on a very seldom occasion that we might have to come back to you and say, look, we're not after getting a match there, and we'll work with you to work something out. But what this generally means is that school PME students get to stay at home for their school placements if that's what they wish, and there's a lot of advantages to that for many students. Um, so that's all I really want to say in terms of school placement. I suppose maybe just to add in there, our first school placement. So school placement one is pass fail. It's very much what we call formative. It's about developing you as a student teacher and working towards the next school placement, which is normally graded. So that means that you get a letter grade for that. And so and so that's the big one. So school placement one is very much about learning and developing. It's formative. You must pass it. And then school placement two is normally graded. I do have some testimonials here. We have them on our website as well. So I would really encourage you to go into the testimonials and have a read. So these will be on the slides afterwards as well. And that is really it in terms of just an overview of the PME. So just to kind of remind you again, you have to have a level 2 level 8 degree. Now, if I can just put in there as well, we do have a recognition of prior learning mechanism. We've had a small handful of students who've come onto the PME in the past who just have like a third class level 8 degree. They don't meet minimum 2 requirement, but they have further study done and they have worked in specific areas that really show that they have developed since they have completed their level 8. So we do have that mechanism there that can be availed of. There's no guarantees with it, but we can certainly look at that for you if you don't have the minimum 2. And the other big thing then is the teaching council and cracking those subject declaration forms and taking good care in terms of making your declarations and making sure that they're informed declarations. And the only real way that you can make an informed declaration is if you have the module descriptors for every module that you studied in your level 8 program, and you map those onto the subject declaration forms. And if you want to know more about the essential areas of the subject declaration forms, a good place to go would be into Curriculum Online, into your subject area syllabus, and you can really unpack there what the essential areas are. If you have any questions for any of the different disciplines, you can see here that I have all the disciplines listed, and you can shoot me an email if you want to as the overall program director at pme@ul.ie, and if necessary then I can send that off to any of my colleagues, or I might be able to answer the query myself. So that is it. So Sinead, I might maybe hand back to you there if there's any questions, and we're more than happy to answer here. I hope you found this useful.